Chosen one, this message didn't stumble upon you by chance. The Lord guided you here. The heavens arranged this exact instant to remind you not of your losses, not of your trials, but of how profoundly delighted the Almighty is with your spirit, your perseverance, and your faithfulness. You've been questioning if your offerings counted. You've navigated tempests without any cheers, extended mercy without acknowledgement, and held steady while feeling unseen. But here's the reality. The heavens have been observing, and at this very moment, a blessing is taking shape around your identity. The blessing is taking shape because of something most overlooked, something concealed, something heavenly. Let's delve deeper. 7 profound truths are about to validate precisely why the heavens are beaming upon you now. Before we proceed, Chosen One, pause to like, share, and subscribe, because this isn't merely a video. This is a sacred affirmation. This is the heavens' method of assuring you that you've been noticed, you've been refined, and you're on the verge of receiving recompense. If your soul is already vibrating with this word, type 77 in the comments immediately. That figure isn't arbitrary. It's a heavenly signal, a declaration to the Most High that you're in sync, alert, and prepared to claim what's been reserved for you since the dawn of time. This word isn't for the masses. Only the genuinely selected will sense it in their marrow, and those who remain until the finish will gain understanding, holy validation, and godly revelation into why the heavens are rejoicing over you right now. Even when others fail to grasp what you bear, don't handle this like a fleeting listen. This word is alive. It's multifaceted. It's prophetic. Return to it whenever your spirit urges, because with every encounter, the heavens will reveal another fragment of the mystery, another peek into your destiny, another unlock for your ascent. Let's plunge in and allow the Spirit to address you, Chosen One, because now you're about to discover why the heavens are so delighted with you. Chapter 1. You remained undefiled when every reason said otherwise. Chosen One. In an era where concession is the norm and quick paths are praised, you selected the restricted path. You faced chances, not once but repeatedly, to opt for the simple route, to merge with the masses, to twist your principles just enough to slide into spots that appeared appealing. But something within your spirit pushed back. Something inside recalled your true self, even when forgetting would have been easier. You didn't merely reject wrongdoing. You affirmed your inner being. You guarded your sanctity, not only in body but in mind, emotions, and soul. You declined to deceive yourself. You declined to abandon your standards just for belonging. And while others mocked, labeled you overly intense, overly tender, or overly earnest, you fixed your gaze on the Lord. You picked virtue over fame, honor over sway, sanctity over acclaim. You chose alignment with God over approval from people. That choice demands a toll, and the heavens witnessed the cost you bore, the solitary evenings, the invites you turned down, the connections you left, the positions you forfeited, the prospects you let slip because you wouldn't trade your mission. The heavens retained the evidence. You didn't just stay unsoiled. You stayed dedicated, distinguished. And though it appeared silent externally, in the spiritual domain, your stance resounded powerfully. Messengers noted it. The heavens logged your defiance. And now the blessing heading your way isn't just for your actions, but for your refusals. You didn't pursue stages. You pursued nearness. While others manipulated to ascend, you allowed God to construct your base. And in that hidden space, where no one cheered, where no one affirmed you, the heavens grinned and declared, "This one is reliable." This is why your rise is imminent. Not for being showy, not for superior image, but for being steadfast. You selected submission over openings. You selected uprightness when defiance was trendy. And now you needn't plead for provision because the heavens have already inscribed your name on the ledger of holy recompense. What you refuse to compromise for, you won't struggle to maintain. What you shielded in secrecy, God will celebrate openly. And the greatest part, you didn't do it for the reward. You did it for the bond. You did it out of genuine love for God. You did it because your spirit wouldn't accept less than heaven's design. You aced the trial. You stayed untainted in a society that glorifies decay. And for that, the heavens are thrilled not only with your deeds, but with your transformation. Chapter 2. You chose love, when hatred would have been simpler. Chosen One. Let's face it, you didn't merely endure betrayal. You inhabited it. You cherished those who abandoned you. You offered devotion to users. You arrived with an open heart and departed with it fractured. And if you'd grown icy, no one would fault you. If you'd sealed your heart, erected barriers, and ceased trusting entirely, society would label it maturity. But the heavens name what you did sacred. You picked love, not because it was effortless, but because it was godly. When you had full justification to despise, you interceded. When you could have struck back, you held your tongue. When stones were hurled, you answered with mercy. And that reaction wasn't frailty. It stemmed from insight. It arose from spiritual depth that declared, even if they dishonor me, I still revere God. You didn't just outlast betrayal. You transcended it. You didn't harbor resentment. You gathered wisdom. You didn't strike back. You let go. You selected pardon, not because they earned it, but because your spirit required it. You pursued restoration while still wounded. That caliber of love is scarce. That love originates from above. And that's what distinguishes the selected from the multitude. You didn't permit agony to taint your mission. You didn't let it turn you venomous. You allowed it to cleanse you. You let it remove the self, the arrogance, the drive to vindicate or retaliate. You permitted the blaze to rage, but rather than destroy you, it polished you. Rather than harden you, it sanctified you. It humbled you. It completed you, and the heavens marked it. The secret reason God is so overjoyed with you isn't merely your survival. It's your survival with your compassion preserved. You didn't let the flames erase your gentleness. You let them eliminate what hindered your destiny, and thus God can entrust you with greater now. You didn't proclaim love. You embodied it. You didn't merely discuss mercy. You lived it, even when it cost alliances, even when it painted you foolish. Even when voices called you too gentle, too devout, too compassionate, you still chose love because it's your essence. You grasp that retribution is God's. You know love surpasses hatred, and you live as one touched by God's presence. Only such can love as you have. You don't love from feeling. You love from enlightenment. You realize loving foes doesn't weaken you. It demonstrates your spiritual vigilance. And that, chosen one, is why the heavens are exalting you this season. Your love isn't a burden. It's your enduring heritage. You'll never fully know how many shifted because you withheld vengeance. How many glimpsed the Savior in your serenity. How many spiritual victories occurred because you declined carnal combat. You loved when hatred was simpler. You loved unseen. You loved amid slander. You loved with a shattering heart. And that love, that holy, resolute, spirit-infused love, is elevating you higher. The heavens see it. The heavens revere it. And the heavens are acting on it. Because in a realm glorifying payback, you selected restoration. And that, chosen one, is why your coming chapter brims with otherworldly grace. Chapter 3. You overcame exams you didn't realize were happening. Chosen one. The toughest assessments aren't the prepared ones. They're the unforeseen, and your path has been rich with them. Some of your deepest struggles arrived without alerts, without guidelines. They manifested as disloyalty, letdown, quiet, and scenarios probing your soul's stance. You didn't know you were under review, but heaven was, silently, thoroughly, fully. There were instances you could have erupted in fury, but chose control. Moments of profound injury where you still offered kindness. Days arriving fractured, overlooked, drained, yet still nurturing others. Times you could have rationalized quitting, but pressed on. And truthfully, no one cheered. No awards, no honors, no limelight. In fact, your trials were so intimate most didn't see your near collapse. But God did. He beheld the spiritual load you bore while masking pain with smiles. He saw temptations resisted when discovery was impossible. He noted dialogues avoided, vengeance forsaken, resentment denied root. While crowds watched for show, heaven watched for sanctity. These were celestial appraisals, not of exterior but interior, your endurance, devotion, modesty, confidence. And even in bewilderment, even without comprehension of the why, you remained yielded. You appeared with pure hands and tender heart. You passed not from daily strength but daily loyalty. That's what gladdened heaven. You didn't feign power. You relied on God's. You didn't act composed. You stayed humble and receptive. And those private choices for truth, holiness, humility, they weren't missed. You sought no acclaim. You acted because your spirit wouldn't betray your purpose. You aligned with God when fleeing was tempting. You held position when asserting yourself felt better. You stood firm under duress. Even in frailty you endured. And now the incoming blessing won't just be vast. It will be celestial, proportional to the burden borne, discipline maintained, honor preserved unseen. Because heaven promotes not on fame, but private triumph. And that's what you've accumulated, quietly, steadily, loyally. You conquered heaven's prized tests, mindset unseen, submission unaffirmed, faith amid chaos. These weren't mere hardships. They were gateways, and you crossed unknowingly. So now open favor approaches. Not random, not fortune, not accident. It's reaping from dark-sown seeds, blessings linked to untold fights, recompense for hidden affirmations to God when flesh cried no. Chapter 4. You heeded when God murmured. Chosen one. Obedience in certainty is one level, but in uncertainty that's another dimension. And that's your terrain. God didn't always provide the complete chart. He didn't always clarify closed doors, postponed vows, or releases of what felt right. But you listened regardless. You didn't await roars. You answered murmurs. When God stirred your heart, you acted. When he drew your spirit from certain circles or settings, you obeyed even in pain. You didn't debate directives lacking logic. You inclined quietly, modestly, loyally. You tracked the gentle voice others dismissed. That obedience is uncommon. That attunement, that receptivity to holy signals. It's not learned. It's bestowed. And you cherished it. You aligned your hearing to spirit realms while others drowned in clamor. You hushed your world to catch God's whisper. While society pursued fads, buzz, views, you postured your heart for divine guidance. And that stance, that choice to act sans spectacle, is why heaven rejoices over you. Sometimes the murmur was partial, just a term, a sense, a certainty. And you didn't delay for clarity. You simply complied. That's what heaven honors. You released familiar ties. You exited cozy spaces. You departed apparent blessings your spirit rejected. You leaped without support. You paused when chaos urged advance. You complied not from sight but belief. Such obedience demands true faith, costing all you deemed essential. It risks looking absurd. It invites misjudgment. Voices challenged you. Some departed, but you kept your ear heaven-tuned. And now the concealed cause for your impending supernatural grace is this. You permitted God's lead even in confusion. You let him direct your path on unsteady ground. You trusted his murmur over worldly noise. Heaven rewards such faith. Not shallow, convenient compliance, but profound, radical, yielded hearing. The kind declaring, God, even if it costs all, I choose you. While others sought crowd approval, you moved on certainty. While others paused, you progressed. You stepped without vision. You trusted without evidence. Chapter 5. You continued constructing when it seemed futile. Chosen one. Frankly, quitting would have been logical. You had ample cause to abandon. Backing was absent. Outcomes hidden. Figures didn't match your input. No fanfare. No virality. You erected in quiet. And for ages it felt purposeless. But you persisted. You appeared weary, created unseen, served with depleted heart, gave while scarcely getting. And that faith, that holy stamina, heaven never ignores. Each choice of steadiness over ease, God observed. Each seed in barren soil, heaven noted. You operated by submission, not success. By certainty, not praise. And though progress seemed nil, you were aligning for unseen grandeur. You weren't just laboring. You worshipped through labor. You weren't just forming. You prophesied via persistence. You weren't merely scripting, erecting, declaring. You placed spiritual foundations for a vision God imparted that others couldn't fathom. Others halted at no results. But you built on. Others craved affirmation. You drew from revelation. Others hunted stages. You honored the journey. And thus your blessing isn't just approaching, it's unleashing. See, chosen one, you weren't building a mere endeavor. You built submission. You proved heaven could trust you with vision in shadows. That metrics wouldn't set your worth. That lack wouldn't steal your drive. That despair wouldn't erode your resolve. That's why your era shifts. Heaven delights not in your flawlessness, but your tenacity. You didn't desert the task. You clung to the plan. You kept crafting, proclaiming, shaping, interceding, laboring what God embedded. Even when eyes averted, your private acts weren't vain. They were prophetic. Your dark construction wasn't defeat. It was bedrock. And now what you honored unseen, God will ignite openly. Your yield isn't late. It's rooted deep and soon erupts beyond imagination. So heed, every quiet offering was witnessed. Every overlooked strive logged. Every hidden seed will fruit because heaven favors fidelity, not flash. And you fidelity honored the task unseen. That's why your incoming blessing won't just enrich, it will affirm all you erected when it seemed fruitless. You didn't surrender, and that proves your selection. Chapter 6. You allowed God to mend you before guiding others. Chosen one. In a sphere where all crave to instruct, direct, impact, you chose differently, a holy path. You sat with God before standing for crowds. You wept before speaking. You sought humility, mending wholeness before uplifting others. And that's why heaven beams over you. You chased not status but sanctity. You didn't hasten to voice. You awaited vessel readiness. Rather than dispense fractured insight through pained eyes, you yielded to profound restoration. You permitted God into sealed soul chambers, into unspoken hurts, into lingering wounds, into silent shaping cycles. Such soul labor isn't flashy, but glorious to heaven. You let God purify intents. Cleanse your core before grasping purpose or platform. You bled in His presence, not on His flock. You knew aiding sons, healing risks, harm veiled as service. You shunned ego leadership. You sought encounter leadership. While many chased virality, you plunged vertically, deeper into God. You let Him peel false selves, arrogance, showmanship, impression-seeking. You begged authenticity, wholeness, rightness with Him first. Heaven rejoices because you embraced the fracture. You didn't sermonize past pain. You didn't feign wholeness. You laid your shards at the altar. You let God correct, prune, polish, then cloak, so your outflow would be pure. And now from that secret submission, open authority flows. Because you let Him mend first, your words bear gravity. Because He refined your heart, your sway bears honor. Because you lingered on the wheel, heaven trusts you with souls. You lead not from scars, but insight. You don't mend others to dodge self-mending. You let God address you first. And such leadership, such base, shifts realms and sparks awakening. Chosen one, heaven is proud. Not for perfection, but honesty. You didn't pretend. You didn't conceal. You didn't shortcut. You let God guide through the depths. You let Him touch what faith often sidesteps. And thus you bear beyond knowledge, change. You're not just a speaker, a channel. Not just impactful. Anointed. And this coming chapter isn't just your restoration. It's aiding others. Because you weren't just renewed, recommissioned, mended to mend, shattered to share, crushed for empathy, emptied for glory's fill. Now God uses you boundless because you yielded to mending without fight. Chapter 7. You embody who God designed, not world's mold. Chosen one. This is among your holiest choices, to embody God's design, not the world's sculpt. You ceased contracting to their frames, ceased altering truth for harmony, ceased muting gifts to evade confusion. You saw performance pressure wasn't divine, it was earthly. Labels, demands, projections you bore too long. But through ache and appeal, solitude and insight, you liberated. And that's why heaven delights in you. You quit safe pursuits and yielded to sacred. You stopped seeking human okay to be you, and strode boldly in the identity God breathed pre-creation. You released palatability needs, fear of excess, diluted voice for comfort. You shattered ancestral chains, transcended cultural bounds, refused copying applauded norms, and chose mirroring heaven's pre-approval. Chosen one. This is exceptional. Most never arrive. Most hide in masks, chained to fakes, opinion-bound, applause living while soul dying. But not you. You embraced misunderstanding, isolation, rejection for genuineness. You didn't just locate purpose, you surrendered to it. Didn't just echo alignment, you entered it. Didn't parrot others. You tuned to your godly wavelength, and now all heaven aligns for you. You quit stage chasing. Heaven granted power. Quit follower needing. Heaven gave grace. Quit like seeking. God kindled undimmable fire. You became light amid deception. Voice amid echo. Truth amid act. And now realms recognize you. Angels heed your steps. Doors swing at your submission sound. Because you shed the disguise. You done the destiny. This is your ascent. Not from scheming up. Not brand building. Not identity bending for acceptance, but becoming precisely who God envisioned, unapologetically, undiluted, undelayed. You're the you hell dreaded and heaven awaited. So yes, grace descends, breakthrough nears, ascent unfolds. Because true you activates grace, entry, shield the world can't fathom or halt. You've become all they claimed impossible, and exactly who God always knew.